All right. Hello, everybody. We are back. We had some technical issues, which have since been solved with a very scuffed fix, but you won't even know the difference, I promise. So, kind of ironic because the next game that we have playing is a production value and games showcase, which is just fine. They're going to show us how it's done. So, without any further ado, I'm going to bring you over to Tralexium, who's going to take it away. So, let's get on to that. Three, two, one. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, here we are. So
Alright.
with me today, yep.
No, you go
Sorry.
on.
No, sorry, mate. Yeah, with me today we have Tralexium. And what are you going to be doing for us today, mate?
Today I'll be trying to showcase some fundamental rules in how to produce a quality game out there in the public so people can wow and
Awesome.
enjoy games. Yeah.
Show us how it's done, man. It's all you.
Alright.
Okay,
Alright, hello
so
Fangame
I'll
Marathon.
count you down.
Oh, yeah.
No, sorry, go for it, mate. You've got it. You've got it
Alright,
on
pretty much your
lock. I've
start. Let's
started the
go.
timer.
Brilliant.
Go, go, go.
Alright, so hi Fangame Marathon. My name is Alex, aka Tralexium. I've been streaming for quite a while. I've been a part of the community for well over than 6 years, maybe more than that, but that doesn't matter. I enjoy being part of this community, and I do want to teach you some stuff that I learned along my journey, and in hopes to improve some of the current games because I'm tired seeing needles being released every once a week. And at least, like, if you make that needle a bit spicier, then I'll be a happier man. And that's my goal today. So, without further ado, I'm gonna show you my super duper secret project that I've been working in the past few days, exclusively for the Fangame Marathon. Uh, and yeah, I mean, I've tried it to make it as fancy as possible, just to give you a good representation of how the fan game community should look like, in my opinion. Uh, so yeah, let me open that really quickly, and hopefully you'll enjoy the show. All right. Wait, wait, wait. What happened? This is not my game, dude. What the frick? Oh no, oh no, this... guys, I told my producer to make a proper game, and this is what I get. Like, I was just talking about making a good quality game. Whatever, you know what, guys? You know what, it's fine. It's fine. We're just gonna have to make our own quality game. If we can't rely on our producers, we might as well just, like, take a step back and make it better. So, in case you didn't get the intro, there's gonna be a few software that I want to showcase during this, and particularly Asset Pride and Audacity. Um, so we're gonna start off with Audacity really quickly. So let's transition to that in a moment. Whoop. Okay. So just give me a mark if you can see everything. Yeah, I can see it. Okay. So we got a good old classic song over here. Some people might recognize it. It's a good old Super Mario Bros. 3 overworld song. And we're gonna use that to improve this song quality already. So many games that they don't pay attention too much to the audio quality, sadly, and that's one thing that determines a good game in the audio department. And some people in the community do know how to use Audacity to cut and make it into a loop. But I'm gonna take it into a step further and make it a loop with an intro. So if as you can see, like if you can hear closely, this part right here is the intro of the song. If you play any good game out there, like if you play Super Mario, you'll always like hear an intro in the beginning of the song, and then uh, the rest loops from here, right? And so we're gonna try to do that in the game today. And I'm gonna show you exactly how to do it step by step, so you can follow along. All right. So let me know if you can hear my voice and audio properly, so you can understand what I'm saying. But the first step we do is select this tool right here. It's called the selection tool. And we're just gonna zoom real quickly to check where the intro starts and ends. Well, I already did some experiments beforehand, so I know this is like where the intro ends. So I'm gonna do Control X, cut it, and then I'll do tracks, add new, and then stereo track. And this will create another layer where I can paste my sound. So we're gonna use our trusty Control V to paste the intro, and then unzoom so we can see more clearly. And then select the time shift tool to drag the top part. So currently, this is gonna be the main intro part, or I mean, sorry, the main loop part, and this is the intro part. So if we uh, select everything and hit play, yeah, you can start hearing that. The audio is a bit messed up here because I previously changed the gain, so you can hear my voice and music properly. Audio issues, I know, right? Hassle for lifetime. Uh, okay, so we got those two parts separated. Now we need to find where this loop ends. So if we play around, and even judging by the waveforms, you can kind of tell where it ends. And you might notice this is a very similar part to where we previously cut. So we're gonna do the same thing. Yeah, that seems about right. And I'm using Control mouse wheel to zoom in and out. All right, so we're gonna select the selection tool. And I'm gonna explain the next step because this is something that not many people know. Game Maker, if you've been a Game Maker developer previously, you might have noticed that whenever the game gets a fatal error, the music still plays around. Well, there's a reason for that. Game Maker actually has a separate system for the audio department, and it actually plays on its own without depending on the game code. So whenever you hear the song that keeps still playing in the background when the game crashes, well, that's basically the other system that's responsible for the audio. But anyways, the more complicated part comes in that audio is not like frame perfect. There's always a small delay in it, and there's a function in GameMaker called audio get sound position, and we're gonna use this for later on to get the loop length and the intro length, so we can make a loop properly out of it. But that function has a delay. If the song ends, that doesn't necessarily mean that the function will report the correct time, and thus it can create a small crack or delay in the loop. So we can fix that by taking just a small portion of the loop, and then we're gonna paste it here. So this will basically be our safety net. Like it will ensure that the audio uh, audio system has enough time to go through, and then over here, it'll say, oh, we're already past the loop. So it's gonna return back to here with a delay added. So it's gonna be right across here. Basically, this will ensure a quality loop, like no cracking or anything like that. If anything is confusing, feel free to ask questions. Nah, I don't know. No, it's not an engine thing. It's not the back either. It's just how GameMaker works. But this is the hard part. Once you get through this hard part, then you're good to go. The rest is easy. So there's two more things left. One thing is to evaluate how lengthy those portions are. For example, we need to check what the length is for the intro. In this case, it's 4 seconds and 0.004 milliseconds. It's important to add those 3 zeros. Trust me, it makes a difference. Those 3 digits, I mean. And this is 25 seconds and 561 milliseconds. And that's all the 2 values you need. I'll showcase the code near the end, so don't worry, guys. I'll show how it works in GameMaker as well. Side note: this video game. Not sure, Hash. I mean, if you want to get a song, you can just go to YouTube and convert it to MP3. It's as easy as that. But now, we get a proper song with an intro in it. And if you let it play through, then you'll notice that it goes through the intro, and then it'll loop back to the appropriate part without the intro. There we go. Yeah, there's actually a game. Oh, wait. I forgot to switch it. Hold on. I knew this will happen. Let me transition it real quickly. There we go. You didn't miss anything, guys. Yeah, this is how it looks. Anyways, back to generic stuff. Alright, so now we're gonna go into the juicy stuff, aka AssetPrite, my probably most favorite software out there. Not even GameMaker. AssetPrite is just like my thing. So let's quickly properly switch it this time. Let's transition over there. There we go. So yeah, that's how AssetPrite looks. And we're gonna use this to draw stuff and put it into games. Because, I mean, don't get me wrong, brown blocks are already legendary, but we can take it a step further. So, I prepared a slideshow, like a small slideshow to showcase how this will go on. And show some concepts and rule sets for art in general. So we're gonna go through color theory, how pixel art works, some basic stuff. And it's up to you guys if you want to follow them. I'm not forcing anyone. So if you find something incorrect, then it's up to you. Art is art, and it's very subjective. Alright, so let's go to the next slide. We're gonna start with color. And this is a thing that a lot of people don't understand properly when they draw stuff. So, on the left you can see an example with a cherry, apple, or delicious fruit, whatever you want to call it. And on the right, it's a wrong representation of how color should look in the sprite. So, one main difference with the right one. What's wrong with the right one? Well, first, the colors are oversaturated. If you go here and pick the color, you can see that they're at the very top of bar of the saturation. And any color that I pick is actually the very same hue. So this cherry only uses the red hue and is full saturated. Same goes for the green. Whereas on the left cherry, I use darker hues for darker colors. So, for example, if we want to do a darker representation of red, we're gonna slide this over to the left, where it goes to the purple, and purple is a dark color. And same for the light. The light shifts towards yellow. That's an apple. I don't know, Cracker. You decide. And yeah, if you check, the colors are indeed changing hues, and the saturation isn't full. That's another key aspect. So if you keep the saturation about 80% and shift the hues along with the color, you'll get something that looks more appealing. Alright. You like the saturated one? I don't know, Krasta. I mean, I've heard people who like that art style more. That's why I said art is subjective. So it's up to you. Science has gone too far, I agree. But yeah, this one is about outline color. Many artists have different theories in this. Some artists prefer using only dark outlines. Some artists prefer using colored outlines. But there's one main rule in outlines that I think it just makes sprites more appealing in general. And if you played games like Terraria or like any other pixel-based art, I guarantee you that those games never use solid black color for outlines. 90% of the time. Maybe 95, I don't know. But if you do still insist using black outlines, you can just lower the saturation and add it a bit of color, like a tiny bit of color, maybe blue or purple is usually enough. But over here, I did the colored method for outlines, where, for example, we have a great sword for the blade, and I used a darker gray color, not fully black, for the outline. The same goes for the gold part. It's a slight reddish orange color. And it just looks more appealing, and it's more easy to distinguish whenever like playing it in the game. It's less harsh on the eye, so it makes it easy to see. So the next slide, oh man, this mistake, I'm also shamefully part of it. I do it from time to time. But this is scaling, and this is a very subjective one. Again, you can follow this. It does look more pleasing, but I won't kill you or hurt you if you used twice the size of a scale. So what do I mean by scale? The pixels on the right are twice as big to make the slime look bigger. The proper way to do it, though, however, if you like working in the industry, is to always keep consistent, a consistent pixel size. So always use singular pixels, what I mean by that. So if you want to make a bigger slime, it's gonna take you longer, obviously, and since you're painstakingly doing it by one pixel, like all the outlines and everything and the lighting, but it will look more pleasing. But I do see games from time to time cheese it and just scale the sprite, and that's fine. Alright. Time for the good stuff. Tiles. Oh man, tile sets. You will be surprised how many times I've seen this question asked in the I Wanna community. Like, is this tile set good? Is that better? Are the colors good? Guys, tile sets are the bane of my existence. They're difficult to get a grasp, but once you understand some principles on how to make one, then it's actually fairly easy. And if you take the rules I've mentioned previously into account, then it's surprisingly a fun experience to do. And I'll show you how to do it, step by step as well. So, tiles, we begin with the 9 chunks. The middle chunk and the side chunks. And this is how they look like. And we can use those side chunks to create other parts of the tile so that can be used in level design. So we can use the left and right chunks to make a horizontal tile that's singular. And then we can use the top and bottom parts to make a horizontal singular tiles. And we can also use the cross parts to make the inwards tiles. So that's like whenever you're like in a cave and you want to like do an internal curve, you can use those tiles. But that's enough of that. Let's actually show you how to use as a sprite, because I could be mumbling forever, but it's way more interesting to show you how it's done and demonstrate the tools as well. So as a sprite, if you haven't realized already, its main aspect is making pixel art easy. And there's some really cool stuff. Hold on, if I open, let's go to Fangames, showcase. Let's open a sprite I already made. So one cool thing about it is you can actually make animations in a sprite. And that's because it has a timeline feature similar to Adobe Flash. And it's really cool. Like it simplifies and speeds up the process way faster than even Photoshop. Like some people are just sworn to be always by Photoshop. And so, but it's not like the best software to use for pixel art. It's still slow, and there's some features that make pixel art slower in other software. So as a sprite, in terms of how powerful it is and ease of use, it's probably the best software out there. But yeah, so we're gonna use the fill tool to make the background color. Actually, let's load a palette that I've been using. So we're gonna use this palette to make quickly a ground block. Then we're gonna scale up this. And draw a quick line. Oh yeah, while at it, let's turn on symmetry mode so you can actually see what's happening. And then we'll turn the grid as well. There you go. Looking good. Alright. There you go. So as you can see, tiled mode actually makes it super easy to see how your tile's gonna loop. Oh no, people took it seriously. Alright, yeah, we got a wavy boy. That's right, Piranha. And we're gonna add some more detail to it. So let's do a shadow over here. Yeah, that looks a bit better. And we're gonna add some more detail here. Let's make some detail here. Also, let me know if the music is in a comfortable level, or if it's even noticeable, because there's some music right now in the background. Alright, so we can disable tiled mode, and this is the middle tile that we got. So we're gonna copy paste and create a new file. We're gonna give it a size of 128 by 64. And we're pasting here. Also, if you haven't noticed, we're using 16 by 16 tiles. Now, why are we doing that? Well, you'll be surprised that 32 by 32 tiles, which is what many people use for fun games, are a very challenging size to do for art. Even for a seasoned artist, 32 by 32 is unreasonable for a fun game. It's possible, but it takes a lot of time. So 16 by 16, and then scaling up to match the 32 by 32 is a good step to begin making pixel art, because it has enough room to be creative, but at the same time, it's not too taunting. Yeah, exactly. 32 by 32 is 16 by 2. So we got the middle tile, but we need the side tiles to begin doing the others. So we're gonna keep this one here. And then we're gonna select different tile mode in the x-axis. Well, there we go. And we're gonna make the grass, because, I mean, grassy tiles is, come on, that's an original idea. No one has ever done that before. Alright. Actually, just to be more safe, we're gonna make a new layer by doing Shift N. Just gotta name it grass, so it's easier to modify. There you go. Now we're gonna fill this. That's gonna be the shadow part. Now we're gonna take a lighter color and start doing the light parts of the tile set. It doesn't have to be perfect, like just let your drawing spirit go, take over you, and start drawing. That's another thing, people pay too much attention to detail when it comes to sprites, where in reality, it's like once you start doing it fast, it kind of becomes natural and easier. So we're gonna add a bit of detail here. There we go. And then we can do small touch-ups in case something doesn't look too appealing. There we go. So we got the grass tiles. Looks pretty nifty. Yeah, workflow is very important, I agree. This is the workflow I use, for example, when I make tiles. So we're gonna copy that. Let's move the spike. Oh yeah, I pasted the grass tile, which is not what I wanted. There we go. We're gonna flatten this, and now we're gonna paste. Also, cool little trick that not many people know. You can actually select a tile by double clicking on it with the select tool, and then hold Control, and then it automatically copies it for you without the need of Control CV. Yes, Wolsk, that's totally not a scam. Just click that and it'll become good. Alright. Now we're gonna make the bottom tiles. Now for the bottom tiles, I want to use a darker color to distinguish an outline, because I don't want the tile to blend with the scenery. Okay, let's make some holes, add a bit of dashes of color there and there. Just like Bob Ross said, there's no mistakes, only happy accidents, or something like that. I don't know. Blame me for not knowing Bob Ross's quotes, despite being an artist. There you go. So something like that. That's good. And we're gonna paste that as well here. Looking good. Alright. All that's left is side tiles now. So we're just gonna copy this again. Paste it. And now we're not gonna actually need the grid, or not the grid, the tile stuff. So we're not gonna use any. we're gonna do the same thing. Darker outline. We're gonna start with the left side. We're also gonna slightly improve this. There we go. Ah. There we go. So I guess that can be the side one. And if you had symmetrical tiles, you could just take this and flip it like that. But since those are not symmetrical, we're gonna have to do the same thing for the right as well. It can. I mean, it takes practice. Everyone starts being a shitty artist, unless, I don't know, unless a miracle happens and their past life people were like, I don't know, Van Gogh or something. No. Everyone is crap at art at the beginning. I was also crap. It just takes a lot of practice and dedication. Okay. And it's a good thing to use like multiple colors. Like over here I'm using a darker gray or brown to add a bit more of shade to it and to make it look nicer. So we're gonna take that, paste it here, and voila, we got the other tile. So right now we're gonna switch the grid to 8x8, and the reason why is we're gonna remove, oh yeah, and Shift S for snap to grid makes things a lot easier. So we're gonna remove those chunks right here. We're gonna use those parts to put it on top, and the top parts to put it on bottom over here. So we're gonna just paste it like that, and over here, and voila. Now you might have noticed that it doesn't perfectly combine with those corner tiles, but that's fine. That's expected, really, and you have to fix those manually. So should be fairly simple. Just follow the pattern on top, then should be good. And I personally like doing round edges near the corners. It gives them a nicer feeling. Alright. And same over here. There we go. So we got those corn tiles, and now we're gonna do the grassy ones as well. Just add a bit of shadow in the corners. And that looks fine. That's as it tells it right there. Congrats, you already made something better than 95% of the Fangame community. Just kidding, just kidding. Alright, now the other stuff are fairly simple because you got the main design, so making tiles from this is really easy. First we're gonna make the horizontal ones like we discussed in the tutorial. So we're gonna paste this one over here, same as this one. There we go. Voila, you got those. And we're gonna do the same for the horizontal ones. It's as easy as that. Yep. Now if you want to make singular blocks, just copy paste the corners and you made a singular block as well. If I can properly do that. There we go. And feel free to improve some stuff, like making them a little bit more unique. So maybe add a bit of shading there and there. There you go. And we got a tile set. Now, there's one last thing left remaining, and that's the inner corner tiles, which is the last thing we discussed in this slideshow. A 16 by 16 default. Yeah, Aras, I prefer using 16 by 16 because it's an easier canvas to work with, and you can always stretch it. And also, there's another small benefit towards that, and that's 16 by 16 tiles that actually don't require. Not that they don't require effort. They give the pixel art aspect a boost. Like you can tell it's a pixel art game when they're scaled. I don't know if that makes any sense, but like you get the idea. Fun games that use 1:1 resolution that's native to the window size. It doesn't give off too much of a pixel art vibe, as much as when you see the pixels being way larger, like Celeste for example. The moment you see how big those pixels are, it immediately gives the vibe that it's a pixel art game. Not necessarily Happy Man. I've seen so many games that lack production value, but the gameplay is fun. Production value is just one small part of it. And since Patrick showcased how to make game design last time, I wanted to do production value instead. Alright, so inner tiles, let's go, let's go. I'm actually starting to run out of time, so need to hurry a bit. So you take those tiles, you put them there. Then you take the middle tile and put in all 4 corners. Alright. And now, you might have guessed it, we need to make them loop. So let's disable Snap to Grid and start drawing more stuff. So over here I want the grass to stretch out over here. Same over here. Okay, and over here I want some more cracks. Now just delete the cross tiles and you're good to go. That's how you make inner tiles. Now, fun fact, I actually practiced to make this sprite beforehand. As you can see, there's another version here. And that's because we're gonna take a small shortcut with some Game Maker magic. We're gonna transition exactly to that same tile set. Ooh. And yeah, with the new spikes and the tile set, the game is already looking way better. But we can take it a step further. How about we make a better background as well? Because a solid color background is not as appealing as something that's slightly animated and has some simple pyramid hills. Some might recognize this design from my Endless Mirage game. Yeah, shoutouts to Peace for giving me that sound effect. And actually, one small detail that's really easy to do in Game Maker is to make the spikes always face the light direction. So for example, in this scenario, the light is in the top left corner. So make sure the light part, or the shiny part, is facing the light source. That'll make it a bit better. And there's some other stuff you can do, like some scenery. You can add some trees, some foreground before that, some mushrooms and flowers, and that already bumps up the quality by a lot. And if you want to go full indie style, you can add some particle effects and idle objects around. For example, I wanted some butterflies to react to the scenery, and also bullets that have some particles and are a bit larger. So this can also act as a boost in your game. For example, the player will notice the bullets way easier, and the double jump particles indicate that you used your double jump. So visuals are important, not only just making the games beautiful, but also communicating with the player and letting them know their actions. But yeah, I mean, that's a very brief view of how production value is in games. And there's so much to cover that I couldn't possibly fit in an hour, but this is just a very brief part of it that's mainly distinguishing this community between a production value game and just a normal game. But production value can be in audio, in games, and even gameplay in some cases. But that's how the game looks, and right now, with the few minutes that I've got, I can show you some Game Maker stuff. So let me switch over quickly to Game Maker. So you should be able to see, and I'll show you some stuff. Actually, you know what, chat, I want you to be involved a little bit into this, and tell me which objects are you interested to see from this showcase right now. This is your chance. Which object piqued your curiosity? And I'll explain the code behind it. Object boss. Miku? Yes. Miku. That's a good choice right there. Alright. Since you're so indecisive. Alright, we're gonna show Miku? Fine, let's do that. Where is that? Says there we go. Good old Miku. So as you can see, has 4 events, etc, etc. And has a bunch of user events, 4 attacks. But nah. I could show you the particle effects, like how I made some of the particles. Oh yeah, I promised to show you the music intro object. So let's do that. I'm gonna open the windows, and I'll try to be as beginner friendly as possible. I'm not gonna use any hardcore mumbo jumbo that only supreme game makers understand. And it should be simple. This is mainly what you use for it. So I'll just shrink the window so you can see everything. Object spike up. Yeah, I'll show you that later. So it has only 4 variables. The BGM, which I mean I personally hard-coded, but you can always do it in creation code like the normal music object. Intro length, that's the length we talked about earlier for the music. When you notice down there in the bottom in Audacity, it tells you the length. This is what you put for the intro. And for the loop length, you put what the loop length was. And then you combine them and make them into a new variable called total length. So far, so cool. And then in the step event, you create temporary variables. Temporary variables, what they are is essentially once this whole chunk of code is done, this variable is erased. So every frame this variable is created. And this is pretty much just to shorten this command. And then the if statement, you check if the position, if the current audio track position is over the total length of the song. Oh, resolution, right. Give me a moment. Which one was it again? Ah, there we go. There we go. Should be easier to see. So yeah, again, BGM for the song, intro, loop length, that's the length that you get in Audacity, and then you combine them into a total length variable. Then you get the position of the music track, and then every frame you scan if the position has overlapped the total length of the song. And once it does, you basically say audio set track position. Then you take the global current music, that's a yo-yo studio engine variable, which tells you what's the current music that's playing in the background. And then you take the total position, the current music track position, and minus the loop length. And this minus loop length is essentially what skips the intro. So yeah. It's simple stuff, guys, simple stuff. Come on, everyone gets that. And then this is very similar to the music object. So if you open the music object right now, which is in the world, play music from start, it's the same thing with one small difference. We set the loop to false because the object itself is gonna be responsible for looping instead of GameMaker. Alright. And one very small detail, in case you do experience cracks, it's not a bad idea to go to your music and then set it to uncompressed. So by default, musics are gonna be set to compressed and streamed, whereas sound effects are uncompressed. So yeah, basically when you set it to uncompressed, the CPU communicates faster and it loops faster without like having the crack effect in the beginning or at the end. It's basically set it if the loop doesn't sound correctly when it loops. That's it. Alright. Oh, particles. I could show you that. Let's see. Particle manager. Now this is something that I've seen some people in the community tinker around. Is the compression losing? No, actually, uncompressed means it's lossless, so it's gonna be. I mean, it's not really a good idea if the music is too long to set it to uncompressed. But if the track is short like this one, then yeah, there's no difference really. Shouldn't be any difference. Oh, butterflies. I'll show you that later. We got a few minutes. Let's do a particle manager, right? So the way I personally do it is I create particle systems and types into globals, so I can use them whenever I want in any object. So I don't have to create the same particle type or system in the object that I want to use them. And that's how I used to do it in the beginning when I was making Needleverse. Every object that had a particle actually had its own part, type, and system, and that's really inefficient. And you always run into risk of having memory leak issues, which is never good. So what I do is I create multiple code chunks, and every chunk has a triple dash. Basically, this triple dash gives a description to this one. So if I say like this, there we go. It will transition over here instead of being just like execute code. And it's really useful when you want to like scan through what this chunk of code does. And the system and type are very simple. If you want to check more in depth how you set them up, Game Maker Studio has a good tutorial in the guide. You can always like middle click it, and then you can check everything in the documentation. But in the create events, you always create one of these. Oh, and make sure that this is persistent. So this will only exist once and no more than that. So you don't accidentally create multiple particle systems. Then the game end, well, game end, room end, and F2. Those either destroy or clear the particles. Personally, game end and F2, which reset the game and end the game, they will destroy the system, and that's how you set it up. So dust, bullet trail, and every other particle that you have, you're just gonna have to painstakingly copy paste this and make sure you delete it. Whereas in the room end, it's slightly simpler. You can just clear it. You don't have to delete the system because you'll still have to use it later on. So yeah. So for room end, that's when you restart the room. When you get a game over, you clear the particles, and when you end the game or restart the game, you destroy the particles completely. Alright, let's show the butterfly really quickly. Now that's a bit complicated. It took me like a few minutes to make this one. So sprite index, I choose it randomly, so it can be either a purple butterfly, yellow, or green. Then image speed is how fast the animation plays. Friction. Friction is essential when an object has speed and direction. Friction is kind of like gravity in that direction. So every time, every frame, this is the amount that's gonna be subtracted from the current speed of the object. Direction random 360, classic. Image alpha, that's the image alpha that starts. And then some variables that basically make the object function. Now, I hate to admit, I personally don't remember some of those because I was too lazy to put comments next to them. Remember, always put comments in your code. But yeah. Oh, and the alarm is how soon they get destroyed. That's the step event. That's where the magic happens. So let's read through the code. Let's see what parts I can explain. Alright, so fade, the variable basically says whether the butterfly should be fading towards being opaque, and then when this is true, it goes to transparent. So we just add alpha and subtract alpha every frame. And then we clamp the alpha to be between 0 and 1. And then if image alpha is 0, we destroy the instance. Now we can improve this by saying less and equal to 0, just to be safe, because sometimes you can change this this value and then you start questioning why this is not getting destroyed. So yeah. In my opinion, when a value goes below a 0 or equals to 0, it's always wise to add below, just as a safe net. Alright. Oh. No, thank you. Their target, that's basically changing directions. That's a bit more complicated. But yeah, it's basically setting what's the current direction of butterflies. Then if speed is less than 1, give it a boost so it flies towards that direction again. And again, a lot of this code is just for effects, really. You can remove a lot of this stuff and it will still function, just will look the way it looks now. Loop timer, let me remember what this is for. Oh yeah, this is basically checking if it's if there's a block ahead of it. So length there, X and Y, they're a bit complicated. I probably won't explain this stream, but they're basically used to get an angle from the X and Y position. I'll probably link the source code actually after the stream, so you can have a look at your own leisure and discover how everything works. And this is a trick that I think Smartkin first introduced it to me. Basically, it's also complicated, but what this does is smoothly transitions a value. So, for example, I used it on direction, so it goes smoothly from direction A to B when it switches, instead of being instant. And yeah, there's a lot of things that go into the butterfly object. And for those who are curious about the 3D effect with the grid, that was actually a shader. So yeah, you can dig into that as well. But I think that's mainly what I had to share really. So yeah, if you have any remaining questions that I can answer in 5 minutes, then yeah, go ahead. I'll wait a bit. Share the music playlist? Yeah, I'll do that. I'll make a paste bin. Instead of complaining about the community, I'll actually put all the useful stuff that I would recommend. What's the current song? I don't know. It's actually playing in the game. Any good sprite editing tools you'd recommend for people who can't afford a sprite? Good question. I actually started off using Paint.net, which is a free editing software. It's a watered down Photoshop essentially that I've been using for quite a while, and if you download some plugins from their forums, it becomes pretty powerful actually. But the issues that come with pixel art and art in Paint.net is there's really no attention for pixel art, especially animations. So if you want to do animations in that, well, the maximum thing you can do is basically put pixels, and that's about it. There's no support for animating, no support for tiling and all that stuff. So really, if you want to go ballers in terms of art, there's really not a better program than Sprite in my opinion, but you can use Paint.net. That's what I used previously. And but by any means, please try to avoid GameMaker Editor. It's trash. Oh, that's actually a really good question, Hash, or yeah. A lot of pixel art artists recommend for beginners to use a very small palette, like a palette of 4 colors usually, maybe 5, and usually grayscale, like NES colors is a good palette, and you can practice using that in a small canvas like 32 by 32 or 16 by 16. Usually 32 is a good size, and just make different characters to practice your pixel art skills and shading. And then once you like start mastering using just 4 colors, you can slowly progress to more and more colors. And that's actually another topic that I want to bring up. It's a really wise thing to use palettes. That's another thing I like about Sprite. It already comes pre-installed with some palettes that you can use, and you can always import new ones. And palettes is a very important aspect in art. It alleviates a lot of the confusion and color signs from you, because palettes are painstakingly picked by professionals already for you, so you can just use those colors comfortably without worrying about the results. So yeah, use palettes, and I'll actually link a website where you can download more palettes later on in the paste bin, along with the source code. Alright, I think that's about all the time. There's like 3 minutes remaining. So yeah, I think we can end it over here. It was really fun, guys, and you really kept it going. And for those who thought I was sounding boring, well, I apologize. You really cannot make this any more fun. So yeah, thank you guys.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for showcasing that. there was a lot of very interesting things happening there. I know a lot of people felt like well, the sprite editing that you were doing was close to magic. Just watching it all appear, it was amazing, man. So thank you very much. Sweet. Is anything you want to say? Any closing remarks or anything?
I would like to shout out my parents for being so supportive of my work in the past few years, or like my whole life actually. That'll be a lie. And
Oh, look at that.
and shout outs to Smartkin for being kind of like my coach when it came to Game Maker. I really never dreamed to come this far without him.
Oh, what a good guy. Good on you, Smartkin. Look what you've made. Cool. Well, thank you very much once again. Hope to see you around the marathon later on and all that. We're going to switch it over to Faz's run of Go 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 300, which is going to be a great run. So stick around, everybody, and we'll be right back.